Hi guys, welcome back to a brand new video. As you all know, I recently hit 4,000 subscribers. I just like to say thank you guys very much. It means a lot to me that I've been able to grow this channel from just a few months ago, had 0 subscribers. Now I'm at 4,000, and I promised that I would do Alex Jones versus AOC. So, yep, that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to fill out the states from west to east, including all of the states. I'm going to give a full analysis and rundown of how this 2024 map would look. As you can tell, I have updated the electoral vote count on this site, yapms.com, to reflect the 2024 electorate. So we're going to start on the West Coast. California will go easily for Cortez. Whoops, there we go. And Oregon will go for Cortez. Jones is pro-weed, but Cortez is pro-environment, and that probably would drive out support in Oregon, so the margin would be over 10% in Oregon. And in the state of Washington, I see the same thing happening. And now in the state of Idaho, all these states in here, the Bible, like I say, the Bible-heavy states or the Mormon-heavy states, like Utah, Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, the Dakotas, they're going to go for Jones simply for the fact that he's pro-life, and that's the defining factor. And Cortez is just downright a lunatic in the eyes of many of these Republicans, even though they might think Alex Jones is a little out there with his conspiracies or whatnot. All these states in here, they are going to go for Jones. I could see South Carolina being in the likely margin because I do think it is trending blue, and in 2024, I think Jones won't be able to win it by a decent margin, but he is against Cortez, so I think, never mind, he will. In the state of Alaska, Mike Gravel, if you all know Mike Gravel, he is from Alaska. He was a 9/11 truther. He represented the state in the in their Speaker of their House of Representatives in the state legislature, as well as being a senator. So they like conspiracies. They're always down for a good conspiracy theorist. So Jones is going to take Alaska by a decent amount, and Cortez will take Hawaii. She'll take New Mexico by a likely margin. It's not safe because they always try to be like Texas and New Mexico, and Jones is a Texan. And Texas will vote for Jones. It will be close. It will be under 5% because Cortez will do well in the western part of the state here in El Paso. She'll do well in the cities, but Jones has a lot of support in the exurbs and the rural areas in a place like Texas, which is his home state, so they're going to go for Alex Jones. In the state of Arizona, it will go for Cortez. It will be a flip. Actually, you know what? Never mind. It's going to go for Jones. Why is it going to go for Jones? It's going to go for Jones because they're really concerned with water there. Everything revolves around drinking water because they have such a little bit of it there. And Jones is always talking about the safety of the drinking water, and that's going to really draw attention to a lot of people's hearts in Arizona. So Jones is going to pick off Arizona of what I would expect to go blue in 2024 regardless. Simply for party fatigue. But Jones is so crazy and Cortez is so crazy, it kind of just distorts the whole party fatigue thing as a whole. So I don't think that would play much of a factor. Cortez, I do think, will take Nevada by a lean margin, as well as Colorado. Jones has a shot in rural Colorado because he is very, very pro-weed. He smokes it once a year to test its potency, as he claims cops do, which Snopes actually fact-checked him and said it was false. Which is rare and hilarious because they don't really fact check Jones on Snopes. Nebraska again will be safe, but Nebraska's 2nd district will tilt in Omaha. That's basically what the 2nd district is made up of. Indiana should be safe for Jones as well as Missouri, while Illinois will be safe for Cortez. Easily Jones will take Iowa and Ohio in the likely column. He's very pro-protectionist trade policies, even though he is a libertarian. That could definitely drum up support in these places among voters who would be reluctant to vote for Jones, but they could for economic reasons. In Minnesota, they love weirdos, but I think they'll pick Cortez over Jones in Minnesota. The Minneapolis suburbia is growing, and I think in the suburbs, Jones is going to struggle there, but he will drum up support in rural areas as well as not do too bad in the suburbs because Cortez is a lunatic in her own right. Do I think Jones is crazy? I mean, I guess so, but I like Alex Jones. He's a funny guy. He's not exactly the guy the media makes him out to be. I don't agree with everything he says, but some things he's actually right about. Like, for example, the gay frogs thing. It's a true called atrazine. I think Jones would ban atrazine. I think this will help him in Michigan, where a lot of people could be Democrats because of simply how the freshwater regulations are. I think Jones would actually crack down on this and ban atrazine in Michigan, in the lakes. And I think he could really drum up some support for people here. He's talking about defending the fresh water in places like Michigan, Wisconsin. He'll win Wisconsin probably by a lean margin because I think it's trending R anyways, so I think that's going to happen. Pennsylvania will tilt to Jones. In the Philadelphia suburb area, Cortez does have a little bit of appeal among the ethnic voters there, simply for the fact that she was kind of around from that region. But Jones, she's going to talk about shutting down all of the coal mines. Alex Jones is not going to let that happen. Alex Jones is going to win the state of Pennsylvania. He will drum up those coal miners in a record margin behind him, even though so. All of his controversy notwithstanding, I see all these states except Rhode Island being safe for Cortez. Rhode Island just because it's been quietly trending red, and I think it will be competitive in 2024, but again, Alex Jones is Alex Jones. To many people, the media is going to do everything they can to slander him. Would I vote for him? Hell yeah, I'd vote for him. He would turn the system on its head about 100 times more than Trump would. But again, I do think that would be a trouble with some voters, but I think the rural voters could even be more energized by Jones. I'm saying that Cortez's approval rating would probably be 35 going into the election. Jones's would be like 32. I don't know what it is now. It's probably somewhere around there, but I think that would be enough to get him the nomination, get him potentially the victory, as well as you got to look in the fact that the voters in this country would probably flock to a lot of third-party voters. In this case, I don't have a third-party challenger, but I'm guessing around, even if there weren't any major challengers, you would see around a 10% third-party swing as well. Jones would take Georgia. It would be very close. It would be a lean margin, but I think Jones would take it simply for the rural areas. I've talked about Atlanta basically becoming, in terms of like a city growth, like a Dallas or like a Chicago, a big metroplex, and then the rural parts of the state will offset it. I do think that Georgia is going to be blue soon, simply off that fact alone. Guys got to understand that demographic changes are not always racial or ethnically or education based. It's also urban, suburban, and rural, and the suburban sprawl will definitely turn voters blue as the suburbs trend blue. In the state of North Carolina, it's going to be close. I think the military families would come out for Jones after what Trump's done to improve the VA. 8 years of that. Trump would probably almost certainly endorse Alex Jones in 2024 if he was the nominee. Cortez, even though she's very unpopular in New York, she would carry it by a decent margin over Alex Jones. By the way, Jones won, if you guys didn't notice. In the state of Virginia, Cortez would take it safe, simply for trends alone and the fact that she has kind of basically become a swamp monster with her raise the pay for Congress type of things. I think in the Fairfax County area, she would have an increasingly decent amount of appeal despite her socialism. Those people are just got their heads stuck up their ass, and Alex Jones definitely just can't appeal at all to any of those people. He'd do well in the Appalachian region, this part of Virginia over on the western part, but other than that, I really wouldn't see him doing too well there. In the state of Florida, Jones would win Florida. Cubans would not come out for a self-described socialist in Cortez, even if she is Latina herself. I think that Jones could really make an appeal there. As well in the state of Maine and New Hampshire, the opioid epidemic, Jones talking about legalizing all drugs will definitely help here. It will shut down the cartels. I think that's a very good argument. Maine's 2nd District would be safe. Maine's 1st District would be safe for Cortez. And guys, here we have it. Here's our map. 315 to 223. Alex Jones would shock the world. and beat Cortez. And I could really see this being another election where people would be like, oh, Jones is going to lose Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. He's a terrible candidate. And it kind of just reminds me of what would have happened if instead of Trump ran in 2016, if Alex Jones ran. He's got a decent, they both could probably have been portrayed in the same light based on how badly the media is attacking Trump. And honestly, Alex Jones becoming president would probably be a very interesting development. How would we work with foreign leaders with a conspiracy theorist in chief? Would he try to gut the government? What would he try to do? And it would be very interesting, and it wouldn't be something that I would rule out potentially supporting in the future to have a complete, not just an outsider, but a outsider who is so adamant about destroying the system, even like 10 times more so than Trump is. But that's basically it for this prediction, guys. It's going to be 315 for Jones, 223 for occasional Cortex. And thanks for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to get me to 5,000. At 5,000, I'll be dropping my first realistic 2024 prediction. I know a lot of you guys have been asking me about that, but I will do it at 5,000. And hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media and donate to the Patreon. Links for that are also in the description. And thanks again for watching, guys. Red Eagle, out.